right. Welcome to the Mountain America Entrepreneur Speaker Series at Weber State University. My name is Ben Mon. I'm a business advisor with Mountain America Credit Union. And we also have Greg Willis and Jeremy Carlson with Mountain America with us as well. If you have any questions about banking, lending, finances, or any other questions about Mountain America Credit Union, feel free to ask us questions afterwards. A little bit about Mountain America. Mountain America has been recognized as the #1 SBA lender in Utah in 2022 and offers a full range of business products and services. These include deposit accounts like checking, savings, and more, lending options that include lines of credit, SBA loans, commercial real estate, and for business services, including merchant processing, credit cards, and more. Our team is here to help you succeed. Visit our table outside. We got any questions and pick up some free swag. Stick around after the presentation for dinner from Pizza Hut and Twisted Sugar. I'll turn the time over to Hannah, student ambassador from the Hall Global Entrepreneurship Center, to introduce tonight's speaker.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mountain America. We appreciate everything you do to make these happen. And so a little bit about our speaker tonight. We just have a short bio. So Jeremy Carlson is the owner and founder of the revolutionary ice cream shop, Crispy Cones. Jeremy grew up as a military brat, living in over 8 different states and countries. He founded his company after serving a 2-year mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Czech Republic. While there, he was in awe of the unique European pastries and felt inspired to bring something similar to the United States. He returned from his mission and founded Crispy Cones in May of 2018 in a tent, proving that you can start a business from nothing and turn it into something amazing. Jeremy met his wife, Caitlin, at the beginning of Crispy Cones' journey when he hired her to work for them as their social media manager. The couple quickly became best friends, which led to marriage in December of 2020. Since then, Jeremy and Caitlin have grown Crispy Cones to 30 locations across Idaho, Utah, Arizona, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, and Georgia, and have appeared on the hit television show Shark Tank, where they partnered with a business icon, Barbara Corcoran. The Carlsons currently reside in St. Anthony, Idaho, with their daughter Macy and their dog Penny. So with that, we will turn the time over to Jeremy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I'm slightly tired because I drove from Idaho today for you guys. So just keep that in mind if I lag a little bit. I'm extremely excited to be here though. This is some of my favorite stuff, is talking to people like you, because I was in your shoes when I was inspired and when I started my company. So I was 20 years old and I had an idea and I said, I'm going to do it. And I did it, and we're still doing it and we're growing it. And I was sitting in your basically seats, but at Utah State, I'm sorry, not Weaver, but and I was actually in entrepreneurship class as well, and I was inspired by Amy Reese Anderson. I don't know if she spoke here before. She's phenomenal. You should try to get her. And Peter Huntsman, he came out and spoke, and I was just super inspired. So I hope that if anything, you guys can take something and turn it into a business or whatever idea that you're thinking of. So basically what I wanted to go over today, I have to forget this camera's right there. So if I walk up to it, like my chest is... Okay. So what I wanted to go over today is manifesting dreams into reality. Now, I know this is talked about a ton on LinkedIn, but it's truly what happened for Kate and I. We manifested everything in our lives. We manifested how big we'd get as a company, how much money we'd make, the family we'd have. We'd create vision boards, and we'd cut things out of magazines and place them on the vision boards. We were so specific. We said we want a baby girl for our first girl. We said we want a headquarter building in 2020. We said we want a house, we want these things, and we want to be on Shark Tank. We want to partner with Barbara Corcoran, and we did all those things. And it's not to be egotistical or anything, but it's the fact that we worked towards something that we saw, and it happened. And luckily, our first is a baby girl. Yes, that's wild because you have no choice in that. This is our little family. She was just out here, Kate and Macy, and then our little dog Penny. So let's go back to the very beginning of where the product started. So I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Czech Republic. That's where I served my mission. I love it there. I love Europe. And they'd make these things called pradelníky on the side of the streets. and you'd see them as you go and walk, and you're so impressed, and they're so freaking good. And I was like, man, this is phenomenal. Like, I would love to bring this back to the US. So I actually, my last semester there in the Czech Republic, not last semester, my last transfer, see, I'm tired, guys. My last transfer there in the Czech Republic, I actually had a dream where I was making this product. It's the weirdest thing. And so I woke up that night and I wrote in my journal, I was like, USA, like, I gotta bring it back. I gotta share this love that I have for the people and for this product. And so I told my mission president at the time, I said, President, like, I think I should really bring this back to the US. Like, what do you think I should do? And he's like, well, doesn't hurt to try. So I got home from my mission in 2017. In 2018, I was at a semester at BYU, Idaho at the time. That's where you go if you don't get into BYU and you suck at the ACT, which I actually spoke at BYU and I called them out and said, you guys never wanted me. Anyway, so I went to BYU, Idaho, and my aunt lives up in Idaho, my great aunt, and this kitchen, it means nothing to really everyone, but to me it means a lot because this is where the company was born. I would go to her house at night and I'd practice this product. I'd practice the recipe, dough making, yeast, water, all the ingredients, and figuring out how I can replicate this brand that's in the Czech Republic here in the US, crediting the Czech Republic and sharing that love for it. And so I'd spend so many hours here in this kitchen at night, and then the next morning I'd be in class. So we went to this kitchen and I said, all right, well, I'm gonna start a business, I'm gonna do it. And then I had one big hurdle, I had no money. And so I said, well, what do people do with no money? And they start from literally dirt. So this is literally dirt. In fact, this was, I could be mistaken, but this was a bank. I don't think it was, yeah, it was Mount America. And then they tore it down. See, good luck, right? Yeah. And then my first checking account was with you guys. I don't even get paid by them for saying that, which I should, but they tore it down and they had just this dirt lot. And I contacted the landlord of the space and said, hey, can I put a tent there and sell this treat from the Czech Republic? And they said, yeah, you can for $250 a month. I was scared to death because I've never had like a lease payment, $250 a month. Anyway, so I bought these off of Facebook Marketplace. They were all broken, the chairs, fixed those. And then I bought this canopy off Amazon and this ghetto little singing deck and then some lights from Home Depot. And these are literally flower pots in the ground and then sticks. So that's what that's where the company was born right there. That's where we made the first dollar. And then later Mountain America built a really nice facility down the road. So anyway, I started in this tent. In fact, in this picture here is Connor Huck. He's one of my first employees. We're still really good friends. And we would just sell the product out of this tent. No ice cream at the time. It was just the product itself with fresh fruits and whipped cream in it. And that's where the entrepreneurial fire lit in my chest. And I said, this is freaking awesome. People are coming for us. They want this product. They love it. They're coming back. And it was the worst product at the time because I realized I had the recipe wrong. I realized there were many kinks. I'm in a freaking tent. Public health is like on my butt about everything. And so I said to myself, well, I need to, okay, so yeah, this was my social media marketing skills at the time. I used my aunt's couches as like backdrops. And I thought it was amazing. And I literally posted this on social media thinking no one would see it, but you can literally see like the crevices of the couches. So anyway, this is where it got really good. This is where the story gets really fun. Is at the time I said, well, I need to find like these micro local influencers to post about the product. So I contacted this girl, Caitlin Sims at the time. And I said, hey, I'll give you a free treat. Come out to my business. And she showed up and she's like, that's your business. And she didn't say that, but she posted about us. And this was kind of like our first conversation and nothing really grew from that, but that's where we first met. 2019, I went back to the Czech Republic. I perfected the recipe. I worked in the shops there. I actually did an internship with the church. I had no money, so I convinced them to pay for my ticket back to the Czech Republic. Taught a course there, self-reliance course. And then I invested all my profits into this trailer up here. So again, I didn't have a lot of money. So I designed and built this in China. and they shipped it over. And this is where we introduced gourmet soft serve ice cream. So I said, all right, we have a product, now how can we like build upon this product, make it better, improve the recipe, improve the everything. So we introduced gourmet soft serve ice cream. And then this girl came back on her own posting about the product. So I was like, who the H is this girl? Because she's come back now multiple times, and I was interested in this where we became actually best friends. So what happened was I still don't have a lot of money. I'm just growing. I'm in a trailer, so it's a one up from a tent. When it rains and blows wind, we're not going to fly away, and that was great. But I had a problem where I needed to increase our social media presence, and I needed high quality videos, high quality photos, all that stuff. And so I contacted this girl, and I was like, "Hey, you actually take good photos." And she's like, "Yeah, thanks." And so I told her, I said, "What if you were our social media manager? And I don't have any money to give you, but I'll give you free ice cream and like 3 cones." And she's like, "Done." And so for 6 months, she was our social media manager, and she helped our brand on online presence, and we actually quadrupled in sales. And then she realized that, and then the next year she's like, "All right, you gotta pay me if I'm doing this again." But so this is what it started out of, and I'm showing this picture because it's like humbling beginnings. When we were here, this is when we started working together. I bought this little like what do you call that, studio thing at Amazon for like 15 bucks. And this is the photo that came out of it. It's $1 million photo. In fact, we use this photo for Shark Tank. But it came out of a piece of crap like that. And so we just got extremely creative, and we learned how to stretch the dollar. One of the biggest pet peeves that I have as an entrepreneur is when I hear someone say, "I'm going to start a business, I'm looking for investors, I'm looking for loans." And this is like starting a brand new business with $0 in sales. First of all, the SBA will never loan you money if you have $0 in sales, right? And so you need to show that you can sell a product. And but I really struggle with entrepreneurs who say, "Okay, I have this idea, I'm looking for investors," because I'm like, oh, like it pains me because they never will understand the value of a single dollar. And if you can take care of a dollar and make it stretch, then you can build a business that's wildly successful and wildly profitable. And this is an example of that. So when we were posting this kind of content on social media, people are like, "Oh my gosh, they're like a big brand." And then they would show up to our trailer and be like, "Wait, are we in the right place?" But this is where we started. We got creative. We always thought we're much bigger than where we are. This is our social media strategies that we use in 2019. We would talk about it together. And Kate and I came up with this together. So at this point, we're like best friends, and I'm paying her. So we came up with these strategies. We always thought, all right, we've got to act like we're a multi-million-dollar company and show that confidence on socials and show that confidence when we sell the product. And so we always thought like, oh, we're huge. Like we are a $50 million company. And then we get really humbled when we show up to our trailer. But that confidence helped us build the brand that it is today. So anyway, what happened in 2020 is this. So I had transferred actually to Utah State for a couple of years when I was building the company, Huntsman School of Business. And then obviously classes ended in 2020 with COVID. Everyone was sent home, so I'm back to Idaho. And then that's where we started dating. And I was like, "Let's get married. This is awesome." And so we got married in the Ogden Temple at the end in December of 2020. So it literally went from acquaintance posting on social media to employee to best friend to wife. So that's how you get equity in the company. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so we got married, and then we were like, all right, what are we gonna do with this brand that we've been building together now for a year? And how big do we want to make it, or do we just sell all our assets and I just finish school at the Huntsman School and do something else? And we both really felt strongly that we should just keep going and see how far it'll take us, because at this point we had nothing to lose. Like we had each other, nothing was ever going to get between that. But like, what, I lose my life and I go bankrupt at 21, but then I can start over at 28. Like there's no big losses there for me. I had nothing to lose. And so we took that advantage and said, let's just keep growing our company as big as we can get it. And this was us in Logan. And we got into a space there in Logan. And mind you, I still had the trailer running in Rexburg at the time. And then we had this opportunity here in Logan. And we signed our first lease, our first space, our first storefront of Crispy Guns in Logan, Utah. And this was that like picture of after we signed it. So we were confident that we could do it. That store's still there, still does very well. In fact, it just went under a minor remodel. And this is what happened. We said, people are gonna come, people are gonna show up. We showed that confidence on social media. And we had a record day at Logan that's since been beaten by Arizona stores as well. And then we told ourselves, well, let's keep growing. Like we're growing, we're profitable. And so we sold off our trailer, which thanks to COVID, steel prices went insanely high. So I sold that trailer for almost double that I got it for. We sold all that, and then we said, let's get into a storefront in Rexburg. There's a perfect little spot there in Rexburg. And we built out a storefront in Rexburg. A much better, much cleaner than the one in Logan. We had learned a lot. And this was a selfie of us in the space when it was getting built. And then a famous picture here that's in our headquarters as well as like, this is our second storefront from like where we started this company. So we said, all right, well, let's keep going. Let's like keep building this business because at this point we're making money, we're profitable. It's not easy, but we're growing. And we were watching Shark Tank one night, which I've been watching for many years. And I was like, what the heck? I mean, we've gotten to this point, like, what if we just apply? So we did. This was a picture right after we applied. They thanked me. And it was 3 questions. It was, what's your company name? What's the web domain? And what's your lifetime sales? And so we put that in. And we're like, we're never going to hear back because we're just some small company out in Idaho. And you guys already know, we came back. Crispy cones. This might be our first day, but we're learning a lot. Multi-million-dollar company.
Done it.
People are gonna be afraid of these.
Ashley, how busy was it today? Hey guys, Jeremy Carlson.
Stressed out one day. I see.
Hello everybody, you're freaking awesome. That's Crispy Cones. It's over at night.
Because that was insane. We cooked long nights, cheeseburgers, and mangoes. There's not even half.
Oh, say this.
Oh no, he's dead.
Today is April 7th, and we're filming for Shark Tank executive producers.
Hi, Sharks. I'm Mrs. Sherry, and together we are revolutionizing the saucer globe.
Get ready for video. Hi, Sharks. My name is Jeremy Carlson.
And I stand from.
Let's go. Oh, yeah.
T-minus. We can have only play.
Okay, going on, starting, flying out today. This is like a dream since I was like a 10-year-old boy. And they're literally flying us out to go in front of the sharks. Thanks for the email. Ready? Okay, so that was a little brief synopsis video of that story that I just shared with you. Every time I watch it, I get chills because those were some of the hardest years of my life, to be honest. Anyway, so we applied, and then all of a sudden we're standing here on the carpet where they filmed the national TV show Shark Tank. And a little like brief story on this, I guess, is we had flown to LA, and they basically said like, hey, just so you know, you might not pitch today if Mark Cuban's not feeling right, or if I'm like, Mark Cuban's not feeling right, bro, like, come on. And they're like, if one of them needs to take a call, like anything can happen, you might not pitch, we might send you back home. I'm like, the hell, bro, I did not come here and not pitch in front of the Sharks. And so we're getting ready, hair and makeup, you wouldn't think it, but they put a ton of freaking makeup on my face. Which Kate loved, because like, I think Olivia Rodrigo's stylist did her. And so she was like in awe, but anyway, we get there, we're mic'd up, and they said, okay, all the Sharks are ready for you guys. They don't know your company. This is the first time they're gonna see you. It's gonna feel extremely exhausting. Answer all the questions as much as you can. You're gonna feel like you're bombarded with questions. And they mic'd us up, and we're like practicing, and our producers that were assigned to us, they're like get extremely excited, like do some jumping jacks. So we are, and then they're like, please, like, we want to see your love on camera, so like hold your hands when you walk down, you know. Anyway, so we're mic'd up, we're behind the doors, and Kate's like breathing, and they're like, any second we're gonna yell, doors open, and then that's when we're filming. You walk down the hallway, and then you stop the hallway, you wait a minute and a half, which is the longest minute I have in my life. But we're behind the doors, and I lean to Kate, and I'm like, I think I forgot my pitch. And the pitch that we've been practicing for the past 6 months, and she was like, and we're mic'd up, so I know the producers are hearing this, and I just know they were like, this sucks. And so she immediately starts to pray, and she's just like, please help us that we'll be able to like get through this. I get emotional every time I talk about it, but and she invited God into this moment with us. And immediately when she said amen, like, I can't make this stuff up. She said amen, and they opened up the doors, and they said walk, and we were walking, and they were filming us on camera. And then we get to the carpet, we stand there for 60 seconds, and they're doing B-roll, and we're just looking at the Sharks. Mark Cuban was on his phone, which I was like, bro. And then he put it away when they were filming, and then they yelled go, and it was one long putt. They didn't interfere anything. They didn't stop anything for a rerun. They didn't do any of that. We were in there for an hour, and they asked us a million questions. And I think I added on here a video. We went in there asking for $200,000 for 10%. She countered. She was stiff. She was the only one that really believed in us at all. In fact, what's not shown on television is we're in there for an hour, but they cut it to 12-15 minutes. I think ours was like 14 minutes and 30 seconds. But Mark Cuban was actually on the edge of investing. But what got him to drop out was our age. And if that hasn't fueled my fire ever since, I don't know what has, because I took it personally, and I was like, I'm gonna freaking show Mark Cuban. And even though I'll probably never see, maybe, I don't know. But Barbara Corcoran invested in us, she believed in us, and she saw it differently. She saw young entrepreneurs who have fire that you cannot buy, that's built with passion and love. And she believed in us, and so I accepted the 20%. But I had told Kate, and I said, I'm gonna walk out of there with 15%. Like, I'm not gonna go anything over than that. And I was like, let me take care of the negotiations, because I was afraid she was gonna like say yes to like a 50% offer, and I'm like, ain't no way I'm getting 50%. I can't believe it. And so when Barbara said 20%, I'm not negotiating anything else. Something in my head said, take it now, it might change later. And so that's why I accepted it, or else I was going to deny it and walk out. Well, we accepted it, we moved on. And then what happens is a 4-month period of due diligence. So people think you just get that money. No, you don't get that money. In fact, 90% of the deals we see on Shark Tank don't end up going through, or in business terms, closing. And in this season, which was last season, season 14, she only closed 2 deals, and we were one of them. And anyway, I'll get there. And so what happened is in December, we got an email from her after her team had dug into her P&Ls, debts, profits, losses, all the stuff. They're worse than Mountain America when they do due diligence on you. But they looked at everything and they said, is this company legit? Did they lie on the show? Did they lie to Barbara? And they couldn't find anything, of course, because we're not those kind of people. And so we got an email from her, specifically from her and her email, and it said, let's close this deal and let's party in New York City together. And we're like, oh my gosh, we were screaming. We should have recorded that, but we ended up closing it. She signed, we signed, she became an official partner of Crispy Owens January of last year. So January of 2023. And we flew out immediately to New York City and we spent 8 days with her in New York City and some of her top performing portfolio companies. So Cousin's Maine Lobster was there, Curie Bob, they have the deodorant. These are like multi-million-dollar companies and we felt like completely out. But again, our trailer intent mentality is confidence. We're much bigger than what we think we are. And we ended up being in the same building, partnering with one of the most influential female entrepreneurs of our nation and learning from her, but not only learning from her, partying with her. This was a fun in New York City. And there's Barbara dancing with Kate, who was 8 months pregnant at the point. She's 75 years old. Anyway. So
Barbara, what's your favorite ice cream store?
okay, so I was sitting next to her and I was like, I gotta get her to like endorse us again and on camera. And so I was like, Barbara, I'm gonna ask you a question and answer it. I'm just gonna record it. So she's like, all right. And so I was like, Barbara, what's your favorite ice cream store? And she said, Cold Stone. I was like, the hell? You did not just invest in us and say Cold Stone, but she's kidding. She's having fun. And I was like, we're doing that again. And so we did a rerun. And she said, Crispy goes, but anyway, learning from her mistakes, her challenges in life. If you don't know Barbara Corcoran, I highly recommend you read her book because especially if you're a female in here, she is phenomenal, and what she has gone through in life is incredible in regards to business and female entrepreneurs. And like one small story, she was growing her business. She had a partner. He had 51%. She had 49% of the company. And they were growing. They were getting really big. Well, that partner ended up sleeping with the secretary and of their company. And he came home one day and said, we're over, I'm gonna follow so-and-so. And I slept with her and they own this company together. So like, what do you do, right? You show up on a Tuesday morning back to work and who's greeting you? The secretary of the company. And so she walks in, she sees that secretary, the secretary knows she slept with her boyfriend and she knows that she slept with her boyfriend and everyone knows in the company. So awkward. Well, she's standing there and she walks in and everyone's looking at Barb because everyone knows, but no one wants to say it. And then what happens? She slips and falls on her face and her dress goes like everywhere and books are everywhere. Her face is nailed into her makeup's ruined, her hair's ruined. And who comes to come pick her up? The secretary. Like how low can you get in life at that point? And she felt like the dust of the earth. And anyway, that same week, she went to her business partner and said, well, what are we gonna do with the company? And he said, we're gonna split it. She said, great. She was in his office and he said, what are you going to do? She said, I'm going to start the Corcoran Group. And he says, you'll never succeed without me. And she said, I'd rather die than have you see me fail. And that was the last conversation she had with him. And then what did she do? She rented the office right above them. So the next day, there's an elevator. She's like, hey, hold the elevator. She walks in. It's the secretary. It's her old boyfriend. And they're like, where are you going? And she said, I'm going to the 7th floor. They were at the 6th floor. And so she was right above them. And that haunted him for the rest of his days, knowing that she was right above him. And he actually went out of business. And then she ended up selling her company years later for $66 million. So that is a phenomenal story of grit and overcoming challenges. And even if you feel like the dust of the earth, which many times, if you're a true entrepreneur, it is one of the loneliest paths anyone can take. In fact, suicide is extremely high in entrepreneurs because of that. And I related to her in that aspect, not specifically that situation, but feeling completely alone and still having to build a company. So I was young, I didn't know what I was doing. I did have a professor tell me that I shouldn't do the company, build the company. I'll never name his name, but he knows who he is. I had tons of people say this isn't gonna make it. And I know what that feeling's like. And it is one of the worst feelings in the world. Because all you're taking is your confidence and what you believe in, and you're moving forward no matter what. So it doesn't matter if a bank guy says this isn't gonna work, doesn't matter if a professor says this isn't gonna work, or a sibling, or coworker, whatever. You know what's best for you. And if you have a business and you're building it, nothing should stop you but yourself. So, anyway, this was in her penthouse in New York City. On my birthday, she was singing to me. Yeah, they called, we were that youngest ones there, and they said I was 15 the whole time, which my wife's like pregnant, and something like that is really weird. I don't know if you guys ever saw that viral TikTok a year ago where the guy like shows up to a random person on the streets in New York City. They're like, "How much rent do you pay?" I'm like, "Can you show me your apartment?" Have you seen those? Well, he did one with Barb, and that went like super viral. And so I had seen it before I had ever gotten a deal with Barbara Corcoran on Shark Tank, and I was like, I'm gonna go to her place one day, and I'm gonna be in there. This was that place, and that's what we manifested, as being there with Barbara Corcoran. And so, a surreal moment, honestly. And this was our headquarters. So we came home after a meeting with Barbara. We were growing as a company. We had sold 11 franchise units. And on our vision board, what we manifested was a headquarter building, place for us to train our people, bring franchisees to see the support team, the marketing team, and build a company. And we found a space, they leased it to us, and we're actually still there today. And so this is where Crispy Cones is at now. So from literally a tent, from my aunt's kitchen to a tent, to a trailer, to storefronts, to now franchising. This is where we've currently sold a store, and this isn't updated because we've sold more in Florida and more in Georgia and North Carolina. And so we're growing as a company. We're on track to sell 100 units this year and have 11 more openings. So it's kind of surreal. We're going to be traveling as a company. I'll tell you all the secrets. We're not going to be going north because winter's north. We're going to be traveling south across the US and then up, kind of like a little smiley face. And that's what we're targeting, and that's what's working. We have stores in Arizona that can barely keep up with demand. And like yesterday, we got a call from a franchisee, and they were doing an insane amount of sales, and they literally physically could not keep up with the demand. And so that's exciting stuff. That's not going to happen in Rexburg where it's a blizzard right now. That's going to happen in Arizona where it's warm. And so that's why we're traveling kind of south over to the right of the US and up a little bit. This was our very first franchise location in Provo, Utah. This isn't updated, obviously. We've sold 30 since. This was an extremely exciting moment for us. These are franchise partners of us, and they just purchased another area, St. George. So they've been phenomenal to work with, and they're actually building out stores in Arizona, so they'll probably be our biggest franchise. This is what I kind of want to end with. So I started with manifesting. I shared the company, some of the hardships, and I can get into more detailed hardships if you ask me those questions. But Kate and I love entrepreneurs who have really inspired people. And we talk about them a lot, and that's kind of who we want to be as a couple, because we've seen how hard it can get. And one person we really look up to is Walt Disney, in a lot of ways. Like, it sounds crazy, but I'm not a Disney guy. Like, I don't get there and like cry on the railway when, Like that stuff like is kind of cringe. Kate might, but my favorite place in Disney is actually the Disney Museum, where you learn about Walt Disney and like how he grew his business and Snow White being the first character and just like how he literally had this vision and idea of a mouse. And now it's an iconic symbol in the world. And so if you can dream it, you can do it. And how this comes back to crispy cones is in 2017, I had a small dream of me making this product in America. And this is proof, Disney's proof, crispy cones is proof. So many other amazing companies that are proof to if you have a dream, you can do it. That's it. Thanks, guys.
We have some time for some questions.
Terry,
I was curious, how much money did you have to make before Shark Tank would take you seriously, like, when you come on the show? Did you have like a revenue point you had to hit, or did you?
no, there's not. I don't think there is. It's just, are you interesting? Do you have a good product? Is it unique? I don't think they look at that. I mean, maybe it's a factor. I don't know. We only applied once, so I don't know. Yeah. Any other questions?
I've heard a rumor that you have to give up part of the business to Shark Tank Corp. Is that true?
Not true. Not true. They did that in the first couple seasons and then they dropped. No, they don't own it. They don't own anything. Any other questions? Yes.
I feel like that time you spent in New York partying and learning from these big businesses, like there was anything you really took from that, spending time with all these people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what they say, the phrase is, you are who you hang around, you know? So if you're gonna hang around with people who have small minds and just wanna get a 9 to 5, then you're gonna get a 9 to 5. If you hang around people who have $100 million companies, like we were in a room, Cousins Maine Lobster is one company she invested in, and they just crossed the $500 million mark, which is a huge mark as a company, $500 million in sales. And they had just crossed that when we were in New York City. And we were with Hip Snacks. They're about to sell the Frito-Lay for hundreds of millions of dollars. And so we were literally in a room with just everyday Joes, like me, like you, like all of us in here. But the difference is they built a business, they had a dream and they did it. And so being in the same room with them, it felt normal, you know? It just felt like they were my friends. But I was learning from them on what they were doing right, what was not working, what was working, the market, all that stuff. It was surreal, and now we're really good friends with them. We text each other all the time. I text the founder of Cousins all the time about problems they're having, problems we're having. It's good. It's great. Hang around with the right people because you'll become that. Yeah.
What is the best advice?
The best advice that I got from them. Let me give you the best advice that I have from Barbara, because they always say good stuff too. But one thing that Barbara taught Kate and I, well, she's taught us a lot, but one thing that we always come back to is to never take yourself too seriously and to never stop having fun. And I know that sounds like that's the advice that the most influential female entrepreneur of the nation can tell you, but like literally, like when you think about business, you think about numbers and then it's boring and then you're like, oh my gosh, like this is so hard, and like you can get in this head, this rut, but if you're not having fun, you're gonna get burnt out like that. And Barbara has I mean, we're on a chicken bus on partying around New York City, like she knows how to have fun. She's 74 years old. And in fact, we were at a Chinese buffet and we were in Chinatown in New York City. Have you guys ever been there? No? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, we were having dinner at this bougie Chinese buffet place. And I'm talking bougie. And we get in there, we all sit down. It's Barbara sitting here, Kate's sitting here, and I'm sitting right here. And then there's some other entrepreneurs. And Barb is like, Jeremy, you should start a food fight. I'm like, dude, no, I didn't call her dude. but I was like, there ain't no way I'm starting a food fight. She's like, grab your broccoli and throw it at that guy. I was like, are you serious? I'm not making this, I recorded it, it's not on the slideshow for reasons, but I recorded it underneath the table because I was like, I cannot believe this lady's talking this. I was like, I can't do that, like, I'm gonna get in trouble, you know, like the good kid in me is like, no, don't cause problems. She's like, fine, I'll do it. She grabs a broccoli from my plate, dabs it on the napkin and just chucks it, hits the guy in the back of the head. And then she just is like talking to us like, no. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like red because the guy's looking around like, who was that? And then he turns around, everything's fine. And then she's like, do it again, let's do it again. And I'm like, oh, she's gonna end up on TMZ magazine the next morning. And like Barbara Corcoran starts a fight in a Chinese restaurant. And she grabs broccoli again, dabs it, and then the waiters and waitresses were like seeing what was going on, and they were getting on her, you know? They didn't say anything, it's Barbara. And they're dabbing it, and she chucks it again, goes right in the middle of the table, and then she goes back to talking to us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane, I'm recording this. Anyway, so that just like, she just knows how to have fun. And you can have fun in life, you need to focus on fun, and you can build a big business with having fun. I mean, if you look at her TikTok, she has tons of fun. We were in New York City at a different time with her, making TikToks in her office, and she loved hanging out with Macy. And she has this like puppet doll of herself, and she wanted us to put it in Macy's stroller and make a TikTok video of it, and so we did. We haven't published it, probably because our team doesn't want us to, but. She wanted us to act it out where we're like pushing the stroller and then like we see her in public and then we pull it out and it's Barbara's like dummy. Anyway, so she just like loves to have fun, and that's honestly like I could give you so much advice that I've learned from her, whether it's financial hardship, whatever. Read her book at that point if you want that kind of advice, but really like the main advice is have so much fun, and if you forget to have fun then you're gonna lose yourself.
What's the next thing that you and Kate have manifested?
The next thing is exit and sell. And we've manifested the number, we've manifested the amount of stores open needed, the amount of stores sold. And everyone at corporate knows it. We have it on my office, it's in big letters. And we want to be with the company for the next 5 years and then have this. So, yeah.
Besides like the weather factor, how do you go about deciding where you want to franchise locations? So what was the beginning process like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So population, tourists, weather, climate, and where QSR brands are targeting. So if you're on LinkedIn, you'll see where brands like Five Guys, Handel's Ice Cream, Jenny's Ice Cream, where they're targeting. You just kind of go on wait. And it's California. In fact, what's kind of cool, our first franchise location in California is in Carlsbad, and it's a former NFL star, Tyrell Williams, if you know Tyrell Williams. He had a contract with the Chargers for like $48 million or something, but he's awesome. And so we just have focused on climate, franchisees, prospects, financials, tourists, all the stuff. But like I said, we're targeting that smile US. We're not really targeting like Minnesota or Michigan. Yeah.
What was the transition like to go from hustling and working in the storefront to having a headquarters and being in charge of all that? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that is a really good question. So it's very, very difficult because what we did is we basically built a business and then we started a brand new business. Franchising is a totally separate business. It's a totally separate entity, EIN number, it's totally separate business, but they work together. And so we had to start another business from the ground up with very little money. And it was extremely difficult. Working from the store, helping out managers was a lot of fun. And I love that adrenaline where the lines out the door and you're able to make that product. But I had to get into the mindset that I can't work in my business, I have to work on my business. And if you take anything, take that, please. Like you can get such in this rut where you're working in your business, but then you're not really working on your business and growing it. So I had to change that mindset. I was behind a desk at that point. I had to change into the role of CEO, which makes me kind of cringe because I'm like, those are like 60-year-old guys on LinkedIn. And, but I had to be in a role where I could lead the company, lead teams, meet with franchisees, lead franchisees, help them become profitable, and I was like 24, 25. And so that was a really hard mental challenge for me, and it still is tough being in a position like that, because I feel like just now we're doing good, you know, and I'm 27 and I started it when I was 20. And so we started multiple companies that have all really been the same company. It's just, I've had to change my mental thinking so many times. And it's tough, and you have to be very, very patient with yourself. You have to see a therapist if you need a therapist, you have to talk to someone, because it's very, very tough, and it was tough. Still is tough. Great question. What else? Time's flown. 5 minutes till 7. Anything else? Yes,
Sorry, I got some questions.
please, no one else is. You're the bravest one here.
You stay motivated. You said there was a lot of times where you just felt like you were at the best year as well.
Oh, yeah. How do I stay motivated? You know, if you really believe in something and you let that belief become bigger than you, that will drag you out of the dust. And I really believed in this product. It's not, I mean, I love cookies. It's not a cookie shop. You know, we see so many cookie shops. It's not a drink shop. It's not just any ordinary ice cream shop. It's a cone shop. Like, no one's done that yet. And it's inspired from Czech Republic. And so I believed in this idea. We were the first ones in the market in the US to do it. And I said, this is gonna be big, and I'm gonna force it to be big. And that idea and that confidence was bigger than me. And so when I was so alone and so many times, it dragged me out of it. I don't know how. I went to bed at night and I slept good, and then I woke up the next morning and felt better, you know? There were some nights where Kate and I were married, well, we're still married, but we were married at the time. And at night, I'd be like chucking stuff. I was so mad. Like, business drives you to the edge. It brings out something in you that you didn't even know exists. Like, it can drive you mad. And so I was like chucking stuff, and I was kicking stuff, and I was like, this business effing sucks and all this stuff. And then I put it up for sale on bizbuysell.com that night for like 20 grand. And then I went to bed the next morning. I was like, what just happened? Like, I love this business. So I took it off bizbuysell.com. I had like 3 offers already, but that idea and the passion I've had for the brand has just drug me out of it. It's been bigger than I have always been. So manifesting that, like, we're gonna have 50 stores open at one point. I've manifested that. That idea is bigger than me. We don't have 50 stores open right now, but it's gonna drag me to 50 stores open. You know, that's the kind of thinking you have to build yourself into. Yeah. Yes, please.
I have another weird question. When you went to Shark Tank, you have some pretty specialized equipment that you have to use for that.
Yes.
And like ice cream, how do you get an authentic product
Great question.
there? Do you have to bring all your equipment with you, or what's that process like, so that you can give them an authentic product?
Great question. So we shipped the grill there. It broke on the way. And we shipped it there. What they did have was a food trailer that would plug in and make the product. We shipped all our dry mix, all our proprietary recipes there. And then we arrived 6 hours before before the shoot. And we made the product in their trailers. They actually fixed the machine. I had to bring a spare part because it was damaged with UPS. We made it there an hour before we shot. So what I did is I rented an ice cream machine. I had it delivered to Sony Studios, which is the same place where American Idol's filmed, Wheel of Fortune. I'm convinced the Woman Tell All, like The Bachelor, is filmed there. But anyway, the girls who watch that. So we were there. We made the product. I rented the ice cream machine, and then we had sent the ice cream there overnight. And we put it in the machine. We would swirl up the cones, and then we put it in the freezer so that it was like frozen. And then the fresh cones that they could just like tear apart and taste, we made that fresh and had it like on the plate ready to go for them. And so when we were behind the doors, the producers finished it for us. So they basically took the ice cream cones out of the freezer, put them on the plates, put them in front of the sharks, and then had the hot cones there next to us so they could have the ice cream and the hot cone. So it was like kind of a strategy. It's a really good question, because it took like 4 months to figure that out. And we figured it out. And it worked, and Mark Cuban had 2 cones and said it was the best dessert that's ever hit the tank, but of course they didn't air that for liability purposes. And so I'll always be mad about that, but. Yeah, any other questions? That's a great question. Cool. Thanks, guys, for having me.